You walked into the room. You hadn't spoken yet. You hadn't introduced yourself. You hadn't explained yourself. You hadn't done anything. And yet, something had already happened. You felt it before you could name it. The way a conversation shifted when you entered. The way eyes moved and then moved away. The way the room had already made a decision. Before you opened your mouth, you were being read. Not for who you are, for what you looked like, what your clothes said, what your posture suggested, what the expression on your face implied, to people who had never met you before and were already certain they understood you. This is Social Behaviour Explained. Every Saturday, we name one invisible pattern running underneath the surface of how people connect, withdraw, and show up for each other. Today, appearance, not vanity, not fashion. The specific pattern of how the human brain fills in what it cannot yet know, using only what it can see. Stay with this one. Here is what most people get wrong about appearance judgment. They think it is shallow, that people who judge by appearance are simply superficial, lacking depth, unwilling to look beyond the surface. That is not what this is. The brain does not judge appearance because it is lazy. It judges appearance because it is afraid of uncertainty. When the brain encounters someone new, it has no data, no history, no evidence of who this person actually is. And the brain cannot function in a vacuum of information, so it reaches for what is available: your clothes, your posture, your eye contact, your silence, the speed at which you move, the way you take up space, or don't. These become proxies, not for who you are, for what the brain has decided you probably are, before it has had time to find out. On Social Behaviour Explained, we call this the appearance shortcut. The brain's automatic translation of visible signals into invisible assumptions before a single word has been exchanged. Now pay attention to what the appearance shortcut actually does. It does not just form an impression, it shapes what comes after. Two people walk into a meeting. Nobody has heard either of them speak yet. One enters with steady posture, unhurried movement, calm eyes. The other enters slightly rushed, tired from a night they did not choose to have, carrying something nobody in the room can see. The room forms a story about both of them, in seconds. One story is generous, the other is not. And here is what makes this pattern genuinely difficult. Those stories, built in seconds from nothing but appearance, begin to influence how much patience people extend, how carefully they listen, how quickly they decide the person has something worth hearing. The content has not been delivered yet, but the reception has already been decided. That is not a surface problem. That is a structural one. On Social Behaviour Explained, we call this the first story. The silent narrative the room writes about you before you have had any say in the plot. Here is where it becomes personal. People learn this pattern. Not always consciously. They learn it from rooms that went quiet when they walked in, from interviews that felt decided before they began, from conversations where they sensed the other person had already made up their mind. And slowly, they adapt. They dress for the assumption rather than the truth. They perform composure when they are carrying exhaustion. They manufacture confidence when they feel uncertain, because they have learned that uncertainty on the outside is punished faster than uncertainty on the inside. They become fluent in managing the first story before it forms. Not because they are dishonest, because they have learned that the room does not wait for honesty. It judges before honesty has a chance to speak. But here is what that adaptation costs. When appearance becomes protection, expression disappears. You stop asking, "Who am I?" You start asking, How am I being read? You enter rooms correcting assumptions that haven't been spoken. You become visible from the outside and invisible from within. On Social Behaviour Explained, we call this the managed surface, the version of yourself assembled not to express who you are, but to preempt what you're afraid people will decide if you don't. Now consider what this does over time. The managed surface is exhausting to maintain because the audience changes, the room changes. What reads as confident in one space reads as arrogant in another. What reads as quiet intelligence in one context reads as disengagement in another. You cannot control how every room reads you, not permanently, because you are not playing against a fixed rule. You are navigating rooms full of people who each carry their own translation system, built from their culture, their class, their history, their fear. They are not always seeing you. They are seeing a pattern they already carry inside them and projecting it onto your face. That is why appearance judgment can feel so disorienting. You did nothing wrong. You showed up as yourself. And it still wasn't read correctly. So what do you do with all of this? Not a wardrobe change, not a performance upgrade, because this is not the kind of pattern that resolves through instruction. The shift begins with one distinction: the difference between image and identity. Image asks, how do I make them see me correctly? Identity asks, what am I actually trying to express? When you understand the appearance shortcut and the first story and the managed surface, you stop trying to control the read. You start investing in the signal, not performing competence, being prepared, not performing calm, doing the work that produces genuine steadiness, not manufacturing an impression, building the thing the impression is supposed to represent. Because people will always judge the cover before they read the book. That cannot be changed. But the cover and the book can be the same thing. And when they are, you stop managing an appearance. You start carrying a presence. And presence, unlike performance, does not exhaust you. It grounds you. The appearance shortcut. The first story. The managed surface. 3 patterns running beneath a behaviour the world calls judgment, and that your nervous system has been navigating every time you walk into a room. A pattern you can't see runs you. A pattern you can see, you can work with. Every Saturday, we name one pattern. Subscribe, so you don't miss the one that changes something. Drop in the comments, which pattern do you recognise most in yourself? The appearance shortcut, the first story, or the managed surface. I read everyone. I'll see you Saturday.